Hello and welcome back to Whiskey Wars. My name is Sean, and tonight we're going to be doing another whiskey review. This time, Smooth Ambler's Old Scout, straight bourbon whiskey. Let's get into it. So here is our bottle for this evening, Smooth Ambler's Old Scout. And right away, I appreciate the no-nonsense take on the label. It just tells you the things that it is, and that's about it. There's a slight story in the back, which I'll just read over real quick. Smooth Ambler Old Scout bourbon is fine, curated whiskey, scouted during our efforts to find an exceptional American whiskey with smoothness. Now, we all know I have an issue with smoothness, but we'll let it go. We all know how we feel about smoothness. Smoothness is not a flavor, okay? So smoothness is the way your palate perceives whiskey. Anyway, smoothness and flavor we admire. We obtain Old Scout to make available to our friends and to ourselves delicious, drinkable bourbon that might otherwise remain unenjoyed. Well, I think that should be the goal of any distiller. I think we can all agree on that. And just for those that are wondering, this is batch 18. So if you have the same batch, you can drink along at home and see if my nosing and tasting notes fit yours. And it says bottled by some scribbly letters. Definitely an S, an A, I, A, H. Is it Sarah? Maybe Sarah. If so, that's my sister's name. So that's interesting. Sarah, my sister, bottled this whiskey. How fortuitous. On my Woodinville review, some accused me of being biased to Kentucky bourbon, which I had to point out in the comments that I'm actually a Floridian for most of my life. So not really true at all. I've been in Kentucky for about 2 years. So I'm not really biased to Kentucky. And this is a West Virginian bourbon, just so you know, folks. So let's see. Let's see if I am Kentucky biased. If so, then that means this bourbon will score very poorly. That is way heavier of a pour than I wanted. So let's see if it's any good. And just so folks know, while I'm spinning this around, getting it nice and dizzy, getting it all up on the walls of the glass there, just letting it come to fruition, let's say. I'm not biased to Kentucky. I think that Kentucky puts out some excellent bourbon, but I also think that MGP from Indiana is putting out some excellent bourbon. Now, to this bourbon from West Virginia. Now, folks, if you like a classic bourbon, this is it. I mean, right away, don't have to search for it. Just very prominent caramel, brown sugar, vanilla. Almost like a toasted marshmallow in there. Very nice charred oak notes. Got some toasted oak notes in there as well. It's like a very light cherry. The prominent notes for sure are the caramel, brown sugar, vanilla. Kind of a nice toasted marshmallow in there. And there's maybe like a toffee note. All in all, I mean, if you want a very classic bourbon nose, this is classic bourbon right here. There's nothing outside the box, but what it does, it's doing very well. Let's get to our first sip. So the mouthfeel on this is like liquid caramel. I'm actually surprised by how viscous and how thick this is for it only being 99 proof. And this is a budget bottle. This was, I think, was like $33, $34. So kind of in competition with the other ones we've reviewed lately. You're getting a nice, rich caramel, brown sugar. The vanilla is certainly present. You're getting a nice kind of toasted oak note in there as well. There's hints of char in there, just like you would expect in a good bourbon. There's certainly this kind of vanilla creaminess going on. Let's go in for one more sip here and see what else we can get. So on the palate, this definitely reminds me of Dove caramel chocolates. If anyone has had those, you know what I'm talking about. there's this very rich caramel that you get on that. And there's also this, you're getting the chocolate note as well. And it just kind of all creates this very creamy mouthfeel, and that's what you're experiencing in this glass. Now, I have to say that this is not a super complex bourbon, but if you want something that does classic bourbon really, really well, this bottle is fantastic for that. There's nothing really sharp, spiky, jutting out. There's no flavor profiles that are dominant. It's just a very nice mouth-coating bourbon. If someone comes over to your house and they want to know, okay, I've never had bourbon before, what does bourbon taste like? This. It tastes like this. This is bourbon. There's a lot of experimental bottles out there that are kind of, getting into different kind of flavor profiles, and I enjoy those, as you've seen on the channel. But if you want something that's just very bourbon-esque, this is a great bottle to show somebody what bourbon is like. The ding on it is that the finish disappears pretty quickly. It's not a super complex finish, and really the whole palate isn't complex. But I don't know that you have to be complex for it to be good bourbon. And I think that what this does is, even though it's fairly simple, what it does do, it does very well. So folks, if you've never tried Smooth Ambler's Old Scout, I definitely suggest it. And so go ahead and pick up a bottle yourself, try it, and let me know what your thoughts are. If you have tried it, then please let us know down in the comments. And folks, if you have enjoyed this review, then definitely hit that like button. And if you want more reviews like this, then click right here. And if you're really enjoying the channel, then you can click right here to subscribe. And as I always say, folks, until next time, just remember, you can never have too much good whiskey.